Welcome to the powder room. My name is Nikki Boo, and I am an international award-winning burlesque performer. In this section of the channel, I'm gonna show you my makeup secrets, my hairstyling secrets, and some wigs tutorials as I'm learning how to do them. But for today, I'm gonna show you how I do my signature sneaky showgirl look. I have my 1 camera, 2 cameras, 3 cameras, and I'm gonna be showing you exactly my process and how I think about makeup as I go. I am a certified makeup artist, but don't take my example as advice. Do your own research, find your own products, and this is only inspiration for you and you and you to know how to do better makeup on stage. So let me show you how I did this makeup. And for that, I'm afraid we need to go back to the times when I was a muggle. Hello, gorgeous. It is still daylight and it's a beautiful day outside, but I'm choosing to be here with this camera and this camera and this camera shooting this tutorial for you. So if you could subscribe and leave your comments please and let me know what you think. Today I'm gonna show you how I do my signature Sneaky Boo Showgirl look. This look is inspired by pin-up makeup, but I push it up quite a bit because I work on big stages and I want people from the last row to see my contours. That's why I bring a bit of drag makeup into it and I make everything a little sharp. But I still use beauty makeup products. Okay, that's enough talk. Let's get started. I am freshly showered, no makeup, no foundation on me. My secret number 1 for a good skin is sunscreen. Get a good mineral-based sunscreen. I use it every day. I had skin cancer before and I had to have a piece of my face removed. You don't want that. Sunscreen. Right now I don't have SPF on, but if I was gonna perform outside, I make sure to put it on before. I start with a skin toner. That's something that's just recently added to my skincare. I have very sensitive skin and I use makeup almost every weekend. So as you see, my skin breakouts. And these products, Clarins, are working for me, but you do your own research. I am not here to recommend you products. It has chamomile and saffron flowers, so it makes the redness of my skin to calm down a little bit. Right after that, I'm gonna moisturize a little bit. This is just some lotion for sensitive skin. It also helps me calm down the redness and sometimes scaling on my skin. I get breakouts around my eyes, and sometimes my skin peels off a little bit because, as I say, I use a lot of makeup every weekend. Step number 2, primer. This primer does a little bit of color correction for me too, which is nice. I keep my primer on the T-zone, meaning the front of your forehead, your nose. I do a little bit of my upper lip, the highlight area of my cheeks, and then I use it also on my eyelids. All the areas where I get like the most open pores in my skin, and also the most sweating and rubbing. Let's start with foundation. I want to make my skin a canvas that I can start adding color on later. I use liquid foundation. Clarins is my brand right now. It doesn't have to be yours. It's not gonna be mine forever probably. I just happened to get it at the airport when I was in Europe, so I didn't pay taxes for it. I use this thin container to pour about 2 pumps of foundation. Sometimes I do this with my fingers if I'm in a hurry, or sometimes I place it with my fingers with dots and then I spread it with a brush. Now that I have a little time, I'm gonna take my time. I start in downward motions, trying to flatten up all the little peach fuzz hair on my face. This foundation layers really well, so if I have time, I go slow and I build up. I feel like it gives a much more smooth finish. As I said, I'm not doing drag makeup, so I don't want to build a whole cake on my face. I want it to be subtle and sexy still, but I will pump up my eyes and my lips very, very much. I'm gonna add some strong highlights, some really strong contours too. So now, with the first pump of foundation, I pretty much layer my whole face. Now, I'm gonna go down my neck a little bit. I'm gonna touch my ears. I try not to get foundation inside my ears too much, but I do want them to match my face. Otherwise my ears are gonna look like red. And now I can come back and make that T-zone a little brighter with the second pump. I'm gonna touch up my upper lip again and I'm gonna spread it to my cheeks. This way I get a full coverage, but it's a very thin layer of makeup and my skin can breathe through and I don't get so many breakouts later. And also brighten up my jawline a little bit. I finished applying my foundation. As you can see, very demure, thin layer of foundation to even up my skin tone. Let's now add concealer to it. I use a concealer from the same brand in the lightest color they have. It's a lot lighter than my skin tone, so it's gonna bring up some highlights to my face. First of all, I wanna prime my eyelid for eyeshadows. I'm placing the biggest amount of product on the highlight area, and then I'm brushing it out, trying not to build up too much product. I'm gonna also go to the bridge of my nose, the front of my forehead, my chin, my upper lip, and I go around my nose. And the rest, I just bring it to my cheeks. I'm gonna skip the under eye area for now, and then I'm coming back with my foundation brush, and I blend it all out. I'm gonna leave my foundation brushes out because I will need them later. But now let's grab some setting powder. This is a compact setting powder by Clarins also. I'm gonna only set the highlights areas, meaning my cheekbones, the bridge of my nose, and I'm saturating it with powder for now. Forehead, my chin area, and the upper lip. I'm gonna also highlight the middle area of my jaw, and I'm gonna also highlight these lines that goes down to my sternum. Finally, I'm gonna really saturate my under eye area. I'm gonna leave all of this powder there, so if I have any fall off from my eyeshadows, I can brush it off. And now we will let this bake, meaning we will let the foundation absorb the powder that it needs to seal off. And in the meantime, we are gonna go with our contours. I let the areas that we wanna darken up without sealing yet, so it's gonna absorb the powder a little more. This is a bronzer, a few shades darker than my skin. I'm gonna start by going on my forehead, on the very top. Contouring is about stylizing your face, meaning you want to accentuate the areas that you like. You can also modify a bit the shape of your face with contours, meaning you work like a painting, the highlights and the shadows. I'm trying to round my face and bring the highlights to my eyes. I want to really focus on my eyes and my lips because it's sexy performing. Also, if I'm going to be using a wig, darkening up this area helps disguising the lace. Next, I'm gonna contour my jawline. And as you see, I'm going over the edge a little bit. Because again, I wanna create the illusion that I'm rounding out my face. And I'm gonna extend it down my neck a little bit, down to the pit of the sternum. And also, I'm gonna cut my chin a little shorter than it is, with a shadow right there. Next, we're gonna contour the cheekbones. I'm gonna see where the highest part of my cheekbone is. And then I'm gonna contour right under. And I'm gonna do quite a sharp line first. And then I'm gonna blend it down. I'm going a little darker than you would think because I want people from the last row to read this makeup look. And stage lights usually wash out your makeup quite a lot. So you can go dark on your contours. Believe me, it's gonna work. Next, I'm gonna go to the center of my face. I wanna add a little shadow under my lip. And I do this quite a dark spot. And you are gonna see later that when I add my lipstick, it's gonna make it look like my lips is a lot bigger than it is. Finally, I contour my nose. You can decide how thin or how wide you want that bridge to be. I try to follow my natural bridge. If you're doing character makeup and you want a very like Marilyn Monroe look, you can go very thin on your nose. But that is already changing the shape of your face. And you can do that very intentionally to create a look. I go under my nose a little bit. And then again, I do a sharper line on the edge. And I smooth it down. And that is gonna be our contours. You see now how you can read the shape of my face, the structure a lot more. The better you blend it, the smoother the effect is gonna be. Since we are still defining the structure of our face, I'm gonna go with our eyebrows next. I'm using an eyebrow pencil, Total Temptation. I don't even know the brand, but it works for me. I have very full eyebrows, thank you God, but I still want to make them a little fuller and sharper. That means I'm going to define 3 main segments on my eyebrow. Because as you see, an eyebrow is not a perfect curve. It has a little strong line coming up. Then it has a sharp turn. and then it has another turn coming down. And if you see from the center of your face, you could try imaginary drawing a triangle to which these lines are and compare how different they are one from the other. In my case, I know this eyebrow is a little lower than this one, so I'm gonna try to even them up a little bit. From the center out, I'm gonna define the top edge of my eyebrow. I'm gonna try to mimic the same diagonal. I'm gonna keep it to straight lines for now. Then I'm gonna see where this corner is at, and I'm gonna try to complete that missing part on my other eyebrow. So now they are both on the same height. From then I'm gonna drop it down, and I'm gonna do this last little tip. So now the shape of my eyebrows is a lot more even. They don't have to be perfect, they just need to be sisters. Next, I'm gonna block out this shape. I'm gonna simply follow my real eyebrow line on the bottom, trying to leave as much space as I can for eyeshadows. And then finally I'm gonna try making the inner corner of my eyebrows match in distance. That's quite a strong eyebrow, huh? Again, the last person on the crowd needs to read it. Eyebrows are very expressive. I have a very expressive face, especially on stage. So my eyebrows are a huge element for translating my emotions to my audience. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes it's a lot worse than this. Okay, friends, we're gonna call this our canvas. I'm gonna clean my lips because we don't need foundation there. I'm gonna apply a lip mask, and that way my lips are gonna be nice and moisturized by the time I put my lip on. Now is when the fun part begins. Let's add some colors on this mic. Colors! First things first, we need some blush. This girl is dead right now. I use kimchi makeup. It works for me. They are super pigmented and they are really nice to travel with. I buy these single colors like this, very cheap. And sometimes I bring a bigger palette if I want to do something very sophisticated. I kind of combine the reds and the pinks a little bit. And I start very softly with round motions, brushing off that powder and adding on some life to her. I try to center right on the intersection between the shadow and the highlight. You don't want to go too far into your eye. I will touch the tip of my nose. And something that I saw from my friend Betty Bombshell, you just want to go up to your temples a little bit. If you want to like warm your face up and bring that heart shape a little stronger. I'm going for a pink blush because I'm gonna have pink eyes. Touch your chin if you want. Bring some warmth to your forehead if you want. Okay, next, I have some highlighter. It's a very bright highlighter. I wanna really set those cheekbones, bring them up, the bridge of my nose, why not, my forehead, my chin, and if you wanna have that little wet look on your upper lip like you were cleaning your nose, you can do that. If I'm traveling, I'm gonna do exactly this. I'm gonna put my makeup away as soon as I'm done with it. That way, by the end of my makeup session, everything is back in my bag. So our face is ready. Let's get to the eyes. My signature look is a pink base with a blue cut crease and a very long cat eye eyeliner. So I will choose a middle tone. In this case, it's pastel pink. And I'm gonna try hitting this area of my eye. I'm gonna hit this area. It's gonna be a transition color. I'm gonna leave a highlight right under my eyebrow. It's gonna help opening up my eyes. And I'm gonna also hit the inner corner of my eye, and I'm gonna connect them a little bit. Lastly, I'm gonna extend the outer corner of the eye as much as I can, even a little bit into my temple. That way I make my eye as big as it can be. Now I'm gonna come back with a brighter pink. I'm gonna add a pop of color on the inner corner of my eye. You always wanna put the biggest amount of product in the area you want the color to be the darkest or the most concentrated. I'm gonna darken this corner of the eye. I wanna connect those two corners, trying to keep the mobile eyelid as clear as possible. And I'm gonna extend that eyeshadow to my temples. And finally, I'm gonna start heading down to my lower eyelid a little bit. And I try to blend the edge as much as possible. I'm going for very bright colors. I wanna be very sparkly and bright on stage. Next, I'm gonna come back with a little more concealer. We only need a drop. And with a smaller brush, I'm gonna cut the crease of my eye, which means tapping that mobile eyelid from the inner corner of the eye towards the center. And once we did that, we can bring it up, and the final line that can be as low as usually is the line where your eyelid hides under the mobile eyelid. But in this case, because it's theater, we want to open our eye. So I'm going to make that line a bit higher. One good way to define it is to put a little bit of product and then look up and then see where the mark lands on. And then with little taps, you can make a good area for the next color to land on. The last little step is to blend the highlight towards the outer corner of the eye. Now that we are here, we are going to transfer to our secondary color. I like a very bright blue, and I'm going to really seal that concealer with this new color. It can be any combination of colors you like. This is my signature look. Now I'm going to start adding in some darker shades of blue towards the outside of my eye. I have two tones. You can see how one color starts blending into the other beautifully. And lastly, I'm going to really darken the outside of my eye, making my eyes look rounder. Now this palette has glitter on them, which is great. You can also add any other glitter that you like, but I will take this straight up with my finger, highlight the very top of my eyeball. I just pack that material in there. And lastly, I add some of this really chunky glitter, which will make my eyelids pop. And sometimes with a very clean finger, not to add any blue, you can put a little glitter on your highlights. Beautiful! Next up, we are gonna clean that under eye. Remember that we put all of that powder. So if there was any fall off of pigment, we brush it off. And then with the tiniest little bit of concealer, let's do the under eye. If you have eye bags, this is a great step. This is how you make sure your under eye stays bright without any fall off of pigment from other eyeshadows, without having to build too much product, because otherwise you will have a lot of cracking makeup under your eye, and that's not sexy. Let's blend it in with our foundation brush. And then I come back with a smaller brush. I pick some of that pink and I underline my eye. I blend it in a little bit. It's a little thicker towards the outside. With an even smaller brush, I grab some of that blue and I underline again, but this time closer to my eyelashes. I'm gonna get some setting spray and fix this so it doesn't move anywhere. This is a white eye pencil. I'm gonna do my waterline with this. You can see how it makes my eye looks more open. And now we can move to eyelining. My eyeliner is a very sharp, tall cat eye. And the way I do it is I try to connect the corner of my eye with the tip of my eyebrow. And then I will do the other eye, hoping that it comes similar. Some people can hold it like this and it helps. Just bring it straight in. And now I fill that space out. And then from the corner of your eye, Make a line close to your eyelashes first, and then you can start thickening up a little bit. And then I connect them so they become one triangle. Sometimes it comes thin, sometimes it comes very thick. Whew. I will add my beauty mark. This beauty mark is actually on me, I just make it bigger. Okay, we are almost there, I promise. I'm gonna curl my eyelashes. If you heat up your curlers with a blow dryer, it will make your eyelashes stay bend a lot better. I'm gonna brush the top eyelashes with a little mascara. It doesn't need to be too thick because I'm gonna add fake eyelashes anyway, but the lower eyelashes, I go all the way. I want this lower eyelash to look as full as the top eyelash because it's gonna make my eyes so big. I'm gonna add eyelashes, some rhinestones, a lip, and I'm done, honey. I carefully peel off my eyelashes. These are like 3D A07 eyelashes. Who knows what that means? I will pull them off the box. I'm gonna put a very thin layer of glue on both eyelashes and I'm gonna leave them setting for a bit. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna add one dot in the center, one in the back, one in the inner corner, and I'm gonna connect them a little bit. I prefer to glue on both sides, in the eyelash and on my eye. If I have time, a little dot of glue there, one in the inner corner, one on the outer corner, but right on the eyebrow. I have a wax pencil, some rhinestones. One, you can do the inner corners, let's do them with pink. And the outer corners, I'm gonna do them bright crystal stones. Sometimes I add a lot more stones if it's a big show, if I wanna go all out. By now, the glue on my eyelash should be pretty much set, pretty much clear looking. I'm gonna set it on the inner corner, kind of where my real eyelashes start. And I'm gonna glue it along the top of my eyeliner, giving a little bit of a space between my real eyelash and the fake ones. That way, when I peel it off, I don't have a lot of glue residue on my real eyelashes. Inner corner, contact, glue along the top part of the eyeliner. The glue was already set, so it sticks right away. There's no big mess happening. Okay, we need some lips and we are done. First of all, I'm gonna clean this lip mask off me. I love a little lip scrub before I put my lipstick on, so I make sure my skins are soft, not dead skin cells, no residue of makeup. There is an infinity of lipsticks out there. I switch brands all the time. I perform and I sometimes touch my gloves on my clothes with my lips. So I try to use matte lipsticks that don't transfer anywhere. And my signature lips have a very sharp line. I overdraw my lips a little bit and I take my time on using a couple of different colors to make my lips look rounder and more three-dimensional. Let me show you this. I start with a darker color. I define the outer corner of my lip. Then I go for the lower lip. I just do the corners just like that first. Then I will connect the lower lip. As you see, I'm overdrawing the line a little bit. I make my lips a little more heart-shaped. Then I go with red. I'm gonna color the lower lip like this. I'm gonna color the upper lip. And then I'm gonna define the line on my Cupid's bow. You can go straight across or you can just define the two tips. As you can see, this lipstick lays very matte and pigmented. This lipstick is a bit more translucent. So the combination of both make my lips look nice and round with the pucker corners like that. Finally, since I have an overall pink look, I'm gonna add a little bit of a pink highlight on my lips and we are pretty much there. Now if you want to elevate this one step more, you want to have crazy glittery lips, let me show you how I do this. It might be a little bit fertile, but it really works. I used to use a very sticky lip gloss that then I could add a bunch of glitter on it until it seals, and it does a great job. But I have to say, sometimes it stays sticky and moves around a little more than I want. But my friend Raquel Reed from Vegas taught me that you can use your eyelash glue on your lips and add your glitter on it. You know what's the great thing about it? Sometimes I need to change my lip color between acts, and when I wanna wash it, it's very hard. But when I put the glue on, it kind of peels off, taking the lip color with it. I apply my glitter just like this. And that is how you make your lips look extra glittery. Now, some people complain that you might eat some glitter, that you might have glittery, sandy teeth, but you cannot say that the effect is amazing. Okay, my friends, this is a full look. I will let my hair out really quick. And this is how you go from a mago to a showgirl. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm gonna be sharing more makeup videos and some wig styling videos. It's something that I'm also learning, and I love hearing about products and about ideas. And if there is a specific makeup technique that you wanna learn, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. I release videos every Friday at 4:20 p.m. My name is Nikki Boo, checking out because it's my time to read.